to his repertoire. Definitely Wei Yi, who is a big Petrov expert. It didn't slip Fabi's attention that in their match in the World Cup, Magnus on move 2 played bishop c4 to avoid mainline Petrovs. And then Fabi started thinking, well, what is it that he's upset about? And maybe he just doesn't have anything. So
very possible, yeah. It's interesting that you immediately referenced that match. It's true that Wei Yi, I think the youngest player in the field, and we're going to have a look at his game later as well, he places regularly. Back in the day, my friend Anish, who of course also is playing here, was like the expert in the world when it came to the Petrov. But nowadays it's actually the Chinese players that tend to do well with it. Let's also not forget Bu Jiangzi, who also places regularly.
Right, and Li Chao, and
the list goes on. So let's have a look. Knight takes e5 was played, mainline, d6, knight goes back. And here, traditionally, the last, I want to say 5 years or so, knight to c3 was considered to be like the most testing variation.
Yeah, it superseded the older and more trodden path of d4,
Yeah, for sure. The move Magnus plays, to my knowledge, is considered kind of harmless, which is the move queen to e2, which is definitely initiating a queen trade. Obviously, Black should defend this one with the queen, otherwise he just loses a piece because of the pin.
Clear.
And so after d3, normally we'll see knight to f6 move back. And White once claims that after bishop to g5, threatening to create a bit of distortion there in the black pawn structure, Black should take and more or less go for this position where White has, let's say, a little bit of an edge in development, but is it all that much? Not really.
Yeah, very hard to prove things here. I mean, normally speaking, in this position, White plays c4. And the idea is that you want to play knight c3 followed by d4. And you kind of get a little bit more of the center than your opponent. But again, without the queens, with the symmetrical pawn structures, draw is by far the more often result. White has a nibble, but really it's not that much.
Yeah, it could very well be, a little bit in Magnus' style where he like takes a slight advantage and tries to nurture it. But my experience is that the games that he's won against Fabiano, they generally were much more like straightforward, sharp battles.
Yes,
and he hasn't
full of content.
Right. Yeah. He normally is not very successful at outplaying him from like slightly better positions. So
that's right.
My first initial reaction, and then the move knight to c3 was played here.
Not bishop g5.
Sorry, yeah. My first reaction to this would be that Fabiano is not particularly worried about the opening at hand.
No,
I think he's pretty satisfied with the way
you have to be as Black. Yeah, you have to be as Black. And by the way, just wanted to say a shout out to the audience. Thank you for joining us. This is the 80th edition of the TATA. I mean, it's amazing how the years go flying by. And you'll see in the camera and behind us, we have the overview of the playing hall where the amateurs are, elbow to elbow, jowl to jowl with one another.
That's what makes TATA feel so special, right? It's pretty much in the entire history of the tournament, I believe, or along most of it, it's where the amateurs actually get to play in the same hall as the world champion and some of the best players in the world. That's what always makes it so special.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this game, again, comfortable play for White, but nothing very... there was a recommendation of b6.
b6?
b6. And the idea was to play bishop e7, knight e7, and castles long, and, solve this problem of your queenside pieces.
Right.
And I like g6 as well.
Yeah.
Solving the problem of your kingside pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, g6.
g6. And now knight to d4 was played.
Whoa.
So what's the idea
Sorry,
of knight to d4?
that looks artificial to my eyes. What's up with that? You get to answer your own question. Why did he do that?
Okay,
he wants to play bishop f3.
Bishop
we
f3.
understand that.
And maybe here, but because Fabiano actually played a6. Apparently this knight to b5 idea was bothering him enough.
Yeah.
But why did he do that? Why didn't he just play here? Knight to b5.
Okay, let's answer the question. Knight b5. Dare I suggest bishop e3 and knight takes a7?
Well, if anyone's going to suggest it,
it
yes.
Your reputation will be lower
Yes.
terribly. I mean, you may never recover if you were to make such a suggestion.
But to be fair, Yasser, this is
That
a little bit
is-
problematic because
that is a pawn.
I'm going to take this pawn,
Yes.
and your move b6 is too late now.
Now
because
bishop f3 and
here and
it's over.
yeah.
That's not only a good pawn; it's an attack as well.
so
Now we understand why a6 was played.
yeah, there might be other moves here. Try and see if you could do something like this and trap the knight. But clearly Fabiano wasn't particularly interested in letting Magnus get some of that pressure. So he just played a6. You get this back up.
Okay.
Played.
By the way, I noticed that when you flashed on that game between Peter and Adivan, we did see the move g3.
We saw g3?
And then we did see you follow that up with f3. So that's how cool is that? a6. Okay.
So bishop f4, you just developed.
All right, fair enough.
7, h3. I really don't like this play, Yasser. Of course, I am the last one who should be criticizing the world champion. I just don't really understand it.
Well, this has been the kind of prophylactic play that the modern players are doing. You see them constantly keeping all of their options open and not making these committal, bridge-burning type of decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the move h3 is actually useful on knight h5. If you protect g4 square, you have a bishop retreat, and you're basically saying to black, okay, you're suffering because you're not quite developed, and the bishop goes to f3, castles, rook comes to e1, and you have problems still to solve. So I really do understand it, and yet on the other hand, I'm much on the same page with you. I really want to see people taking a hard stand, but this is okay. This is just still how they play today.
Mm-hmm. Bishop d7. So he just says, if I can get knight c6 in,
I'm gold.
You're gold.
No problem.
So
I've equalized.
I think Magnus did the only thing that still, gives him some small claim to a little something maybe.
Right.
Knight c6 was played, and now he just takes all these pieces off, and then black remains with this double pawn on the c file.
And I must say, from my taste, I like black's.
Oh, I love black's position.
Yeah. I don't see these split pawns a6, c6, c7 as a weakness. Rather, I see that the king on d7 is going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
The rook can sometimes annoy the b2 pawn. And after knight d5, I'm not worried about bishop endings either.
No,
so I don't think white ever really came out with anything special.
Yeah.
The Russian defense proves its validity again. Right?
It's not being tested the way that Anish is testing it today. That's really fun.
That is for sure.
But what I really like, Yasser, is that at least we have some potential explanation for why Magnus is playing such a harmless line. Because, as you mentioned, he had this match with Wei Yi in the World Cup. And he was very actively trying to get out of the Petrov, moving his bishop to c4 on move 2.
Right.
Bishop's game. So Fabiano, this definitely must have played a part of Fabiano's strategy, where he's looking at Magnus and thinking, okay, if he plays e4, what does he not like?
Right.
And clearly, Magnus wasn't expecting the Petrov, and Magnus also didn't have something particularly scary ready.
The problem is there's not a lot of particularly scary.
No.
Even the long lines.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're very natural quite often. Yeah.
Black basically is well prepared. It's very hard for white to really challenge the problem. That's all you want, by the way, in the opening against these top guys, is you want to be able to challenge them, put problems in front of them, and if you can't, if you don't have any bullets,
no. What are you gonna do?
Right, you're out of ammo. Right now, it looks to me like Magnus is out of ammo. I mean, he's inflicted a slight damage of the double pawns, that it's not going to be enough to really claim anything.
would you be inclined to go knight to d5 here, or would you just play a rook move?
That's a very good question. I like knight d5.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be inclined more, basically because I like this bishop on g7 to have an open field, you know,
Maybe even
uncontested. Yeah, and you know, on a good day, you put a rook on e6, and you kind of laugh at the guy's attempts to really do anything. It looks really, really, really balanced.
Yeah, really equal. Yeah.
All right, and if you don't mind, Adiban.
Yes, let's have a quick look because a lot suddenly happened in that game. So,
Right.
Where do I have him?
And by the way, we didn't see the game with Gawain.
Oh, we didn't see it. Let's
go to Gawain.
Then.
Yeah.
Gawain, who was the winner of the B group last year.
Right, and very, you know, it's a kind of a funny thing, right? You know, you're playing this quality.